Hello everyone, today I'm going to give my thoughts on Kingdom Rush Rift in Time. GLaDOS got me this game for Christmas and I was pretty excited to play it, to say the least. I've played the Kingdom Rush series, I've finished all 3 of the games. Obviously I didn't expect the same sort of gameplay as in the video game. It's hard to translate that into a board game. My only experience in board game adaptations has been the Stardew Valley board game, and while the gameplay was different there, it was still a very enjoyable experience. But if you've read the title of this video, then you already know I'm a little bit disappointed by the board game. And that's partially on me. You know, when you have really high expectations for things, it can lead to disappointment. That's true in things like board games, marriages. I guess before we get to the review, I'll explain how the game works a little bit. Kingdom Rush is a co-op game for between 1 to 4 players. You're all working together by placing towers and heroes along a path to stop enemies from reaching your kingdom. Rift in Time follows a campaign of 10 different scenarios. As you progress through the scenarios, you'll unlock things like new heroes, different hero abilities, spells, new towers. The progression is pretty fun, and the gameplay is different for each scenario, which keeps it fresh. You can buy the game brand new for roughly $85 dues, and you get quite a lot with it. The box is pretty big. You get some cool miniatures and some nice wooden tokens. I'd say overall for the price, the production quality is pretty good, and that pretty much ends all the good things I have to say about Kingdom Rush. Let's start with some of the problems with the game. Setting up each scenario is a real pain. Now that is by no means a deal breaker. We got through all of Gloomhaven, but it's not a positive either. You have to set up the map, which is different for each scenario. Then you have to set up all the towers. And the most annoying part is having to set up all the hordes, which require specific cards all organized in an order. After you start playing the game, there's so much upkeep required. There are 6 phases in every turn, and 4 of them are upkeep phases. There's a lot of fiddliness, and it's really hard to get momentum in the game. You have a nice 2 to 3 minutes when everyone's assigning their towers and heroes and doing damage and all the fun part of the game, and then it's broken up by upkeep and more upkeep. But I think the most disappointing aspect overall for me was the gameplay itself. One of the fundamental parts of a tower defense is that your towers are meant to be permanent. You can usually sell them, but you'll lose money from doing so. So the idea is you keep them in place on the map, and you upgrade them and they do lots of damage. But for whatever reason in the board game, at the end of every round, every player removes their towers from the boards and puts them back into their hands. I have no idea why they decided to change this when the video game already does it perfectly. Now, if you want to actually upgrade your towers, you have to choose not to play them for the round and then pass them to another player. Thematically, this makes no sense whatsoever. From a game design perspective, it does make sense. You want your players to trade off doing damage now or doing more damage later. I get that. They could have handled it so much better, like giving everyone 200 gold and getting interest on the gold you don't spend. That would be such a better system. In most of the scenarios, you're going to find portal cards, and these are annoying for 2 main reasons. Firstly, only your towers can attack portal cards, and when they attack them, the towers get destroyed. This is already a pretty anti-fun mechanic. It feels like you're getting punished for something that the game requires you to do. But the second problem is it also makes gameplay very linear. These portal cards can only be attacked by level 2 or level 3 towers, so it means if you want to beat the scenario, you have to upgrade your towers to level 2 and level 3 in order to beat it. It means there's very little actual strategic decisions to make because it's very linear. You have to do this or you will lose. There's also a couple more little nitpicks that ruin the immersion for me. It's quite specific to the gameplay, so bear with me. For one of the heroes, you can pick this highly skilled archer character. And you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to hang around on the side of the map and deal lots of damage to all these enemies that go along the path. I won't put myself in any danger. And that thematically makes sense. And the problem is if you do that, you're missing out on damage. All the heroes cover a little 2x2 space, and if you put them on a horde tray, they deal that much damage. So in the first few scenarios when you don't have any abilities yet, it is literally better to say, I'm going to stand on this horde tray, not do my attack, and I'm going to say, I'll recover this turn. If you do your basic attack, you deal 3 damage. If you stand on a horde tray and say, I'm going to heal, you do 4 damage. That doesn't make any sense. So this is just already a problem with all of the ranged heroes that are available. And the second nitpick is the way that the hordes move around the map. In the actual video game, your soldier towers have use because they stop enemies and they force them into a choke point where your big towers can do all the damage to them. But here in the board game, soldier towers are pretty much useless because what happens when hordes try to move is if there is a horde blocking their way, they will simply jump over the top of it. It makes tower positioning kind of useless. All you have to manage to do each turn is position them so they can attack at least one of the hordes. You don't have to think about future turns, you don't get to strategically make choke points or anything like the video game offers you. It's just very watered down strategic gameplay that gets repetitive quite quickly. Now again, this is me speaking as someone who has a lot of experience in tower defenses, and it won't necessarily be annoying to everyone else that plays, but it is annoying to me because I know how good the game could have been. We've done a few of the scenarios, we've played it 2-player, we've played it 4-player, but overall the experience just wasn't that fun. For me, Kingdom Rush has all the fiddliness of Gloomhaven that I didn't enjoy, but then it doesn't have the gameplay or story to back it up. If you're thinking about buying the game, it would be a no from me. If you want a good solo game that exemplifies what a tower defense should be, then I highly recommend the video game, which is what I'll be doing to recover from this board game. Thanks everyone for watching. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give my thoughts on Kingdom